Alex Eala stumbles, exits Qatar Open. Alex Eala put up a promising start before totally collapsing in the second set as she absorbed a 6-7, 8, 1-6 loss to Czech's Teresa Valentova in round of 64 of the WTA 1000 Qatar Open in Doha Monday, February 9. Vying in her second competition in the Middle East this year, Eala, 20, showcased her fine form in the opening set, clawing back from a 0-2 deficit to seize a 4-2 lead, but the 18-year-old Valentova mounted a timely response, especially in the tiebreak to secure the edge. Valentova, who competed in her first WTA 1000 main draw, shrugged off the pressure and extended her brilliance in the second set where she rolled past Eala with a 5-0 breakaway to punch her ticket to the last 32. There, the rising star from the Czech Republic faces a familiar rival in her compatriot, a French Open finalist, Karolina Muchova, who dropped Romanian Jacqueline Christian, 7-6, 6, 6-1. It marked Valentova's second straight win over Eala after beating the Filipina bet, 6-1, 6-2, also in the opening round of the WTA 250 Japan Open last October. Eala, on the other hand, exited the competition and still bagged $18,300, P1 million. The 5'9" lefty now goes for a respite as she plunges into another WTA 1000 action in the Dubai Tennis Championships slated February 15 to 21 in the UAE. This would be Eala's second stint in the UAE after previously joining the WTA 500 Dubai Open where she reached the singles quarterfinals and doubles semis with her Indonesian partner Janice Tien. When diamonds chip, Alex Eala's Doha dream meets reality. Tennis is a sport of inches, nerving angles, and moments that feel both eternal and fleeting. In the sun-baked stadia of Doha, under the glittering hang of expectations, Alexandra Alex Eala, the 20-year-old Filipina sensation who had risen into the WTA's top 40, stepped once more onto the hard-court canvas of a big moment. But in a twist that stunned supporters and pundits alike, her Qatar Open campaign unraveled sooner than many expected, a reminder that even the brightest stars can stumble on the journey to greatness. The stage was set, and the world watched. The Doha night air, dappled with camera flashes and chanting fans, held all the weight of possibility. Just days earlier, Eala had reached a career-high ranking, a tribute to her breakthrough quarterfinal run in Abu Dhabi and consistent rise throughout the season. For many, it wasn't just about sport. It was about witnessing a Filipino player make waves on a global stage where few from her nation had ever stood. Her supporters believed in her power to rewrite the narrative, and that belief radiated every time she walked onto court. That night at the Qatar TotalEnergies Open, the draw paired her with Teresa Valentova, an 18-year-old Czech who had her own rising trajectory. Valentova was no unknown, she had already beaten Eala before, but many assumed that the seasoned Filipina might finally push past this familiar foe. But sport is a battlefield where past bravery can't always rewrite the present. A clash of aspirations and hearts. The first set was everything a fan of competitive tennis dreams about, a blend of power, precision, and pulse-quickening rallies. Eala fought back from an early deficit, weaving her characteristic agility with fearless shot-making to draw the match to a tiebreak. Shoulder to shoulder with her opponent, her eyes gleamed with steely focus as the score climbed, point by point. Yet, in those razor-thin margins, Valentova seized the moment, edging the breaker and leaving Eala to watch what might have been. And then came the second set, a cascade in the wrong direction. The momentum that had buoyed Eala seemed to slip away, replaced by a cascade of errors and moments where she simply couldn't find her footing. By the time the final point was played, Valentova closing it out 7-6, 6, 6-1, the crowd had sensed something unsettled in the Filipinos' rhythm. In defeat, there is always a narrative, sometimes of promise, sometimes of frustration. This night in Doha was both. More than a scoreline. At first glance, an early exit at a WTA 1000 event might feel like a setback. But the deeper story is far richer, threaded with Eala's indomitable rise through the ranks, her fervent supporters, and the psychological weight of expectation that accompanies every young athlete on the cusp of superstardom. By reaching the top 40, she had already defied odds. She had shown flashes of brilliance that could dismantle even seasoned pros. Yet in tennis, perhaps more so than in many sports, confidence can be fragile, and the line between victory and loss is perilously thin. The match against Valentova showcased a player who had all the tools, speed, tactical variety, and the fire to explode from defensive positions, yet struggled to maintain that intensity through the ebb of adversity. If the first set was her fight, the second was its unraveling. The burden and beauty of belief. For fans, the disappointment is visceral. They see not just a match lost, but the emotional investment of years, every junior title, every breakthrough run, every moment of national pride. Yet in every heartfelt exit, there is also fertile ground for learning. Tennis is as much psychological as it is physical. The ability to reset mid-match, to erase mistakes from memory and return with fearlessness, separates champions from contenders. That ability is not learned overnight, it's honed through experience, failure, and the grace to rise again. For Eala, this moment isn't a roadblock, it's a mirror. Under its reflection lie both vulnerability and potential, a chance to refine, rethink, and reforge. A legacy in motion. To contextualize this loss solely as a misstep would be unjust. Eala's journey to this point is paved with breakthroughs that most dream of but never achieve, including deep runs at high-level events and relentless climbs up the rankings. She had already made waves at the Mubadala Abu Dhabi Open, reaching the quarterfinals and earning recognition as a player capable of challenging top entrants. At times, athletes like Eala become symbolic. They are not merely players, but ambassadors, carrying the hopes of fans and nations larger than themselves. But such weight, while honorable, can also be burdensome. In Doha, the moment slipped through her hands not because she lacked spirit, but because growth often requires the hard swing of adversity before the flight of progress. Looking to tomorrow. Even as the scoreboard sealed her defeat, it could not diminish the value of the effort. From junior Grand Slam champion to a constant presence on the professional circuit, Eala has already written historic chapters into her career, and as every athlete knows, chapters are not conclusions. They are preludes. Ahead on the calendar lies Dubai, opportunities to reset, rethink, and recommit. There will be more courts, more crowds, and more chances to transform the lessons of Doha into successes that resonate for years to come. For tennis fans and aspiring players, Eala's path reinforces a deeper truth. Losses do not define us, how we respond to them does. In the end, a human story. Sports often paints narratives in black and white, win or lose. But the truth, as witnessed under the bright lights of the Qatar Open, is that every match is a narrative, rich with struggle, resilience, and unfolding possibility. Alex Eala's exit from Doha was not simply a stumble, it was a chapter in an evolving story of ambition.